Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for pressing play and watching Bonnie and I chit chat. I think it's going to be a fun one. I just have a good feeling. So today we're doing a client testimonial Zoom interview. Try saying that 10 times in a row. So I'm with the amazing Bonnie Skrenta. I hope I said that right. Perfect.
Got it.
Bonnie is a busy working woman, 40 plus, and she has lost approximately 17 pounds in a 12-week period over Christmas holidays. Okay. So we're going to dive into her and her story, how she did it, all the good things. And so I'm going to ask her some questions. She's going to answer, and then I'll probably ask some more questions out of those answers. Sound good? Oh, yeah. Okay, so I did that. I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. Perfect. So the first question for you, Bonnie, welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She's not actually shy, so
No, I'm not. I can't wait. I'm excited to be here. I'm in a coffee shop, so you got to let me know if my audio or visual goes out, but I'm ready.
Everything is sounding and looking perfect. Okay, so question number one. What were your top 3 struggles in regards to your weight, health, and fitness before joining my program?
Okay. My top 3 struggles, hard when you say top 3, but I think this is the answer. With my health, it was definitely perimenopause into menopause. So I'm approaching 45, and as most of us have experienced, doctors, physicians, trainers, you're too young, and that disbelief, and even me I was like, no, I know. It took a lot out of me. It of course led to, well, the stereotype. It actually happened to me, so I don't know if it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it was weight gain, increased anxiety, and the worst, I thought, on top of the weight gain, was interrupted sleep. So the struggle is that menopause. My fitness was a challenge, and it was very different, and I had no one who could relate to me, but I kept exercising more and more and more. I mean, at a point, I was doing an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. And so you could imagine 2 children, a career, a partner, extracurriculars like hobbies. I started neglecting responsibilities, and it was driving that anxiety. And then when I couldn't juggle the exercise, you would see, decreased motivation to be with my family, just some real family responsibilities that struggled. And then my weight. So I think that's probably why most people get here, but it just kept going up. 1 to 4 pound shifts, up and away. Maybe I would have a period of success just to lose it. And I am admitting to Zoom that it was probably 3 years, but the reality is it probably was a lot longer than that. But our brain and our mind do funny things with, when you're failing. So it was like maybe 3 years.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I think I was writing down some highlights while you were talking, because I think this is a bigger discussion than we both realize. The more I'm out there on social media with other busy working women, 40 plus, who are over exercising, not sleeping well, trying all these different diets, I don't want to be harsh, but at the same time, I kind of want to get my point across. Like you mentioned, when you're perimenopausal or in menopause or postmenopausal, it's harder. It makes life harder, of course, but I think it gives too many people an excuse or a reason and blame it on the menopause that the weight is going up.
1,000%. It was not my fault. And you're going to ask about, I think, benefits of the program or the biggest win for the last 12 weeks being with you and your team. But I had every excuse in the book, right up to the increased anxiety. I called my doctor and got on medicine. And then it was the medicine's fault, right? Like then it was Lexapro's fault. I want to be open with that. I've birthed one of our children, and I had postpartum depression the year after his birth, and Lexapro was a great resource for that time period. And so the default in the medical world was, fine, Lexapro worked. Why won't it work again? I think it does work. I actually don't think the anxiety was as much medical as just my hitting like the trifecta, the side effects of the hot flashes, interrupted sleep, the sleep deprivation, and then you ever just keep digging a hole in the sand, keeps filling in?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the hole, you don't know the sand is filling in.
Mm-hmm.
That was where I was at.
Wow. I feel like this conversation could go we might have to do a part 2, Bonnie. Okay. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. And I know it wasn't funny for you or anybody else.
We have to laugh. Like, I mean, in essence, we're going to talk about like me probably not being out there in social media and finding you in social media. And then I had to like get over all the humps of trusting what I saw out there, right? You know, you've met a person now who was kind of like, you know what, since I can't decide what's real or not, it's all not real. And that was not fair to you and your program. And I had to take that leap of faith. But we do need support systems to say, hey. And when we did the consultation, the trainer who helped me with the consultation, he could see it was like so clear to him and you and your posts that it all kind of clicked. Whereas you're talking to your trusted advisors in your community who maybe are not the experts in what we're going on. And I've called my physician and I definitely told her about you guys. And I said, I wish at one point you just raised your hand and said, I'm in over my head with you, Bon. Like, I've taken you to the point where my medical practice can go, let's call in the big dogs.
And I think that's
like,
a really good point. That's a really good point, because I think even though like doctors have their place clearly, but other professionals have their place as well. And if people started to collaborate and combine their expertise, this could go in a whole different direction with like mental health issues and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's like, well, I've heard, I have goosebumps right now. Depression is the leading health problem in the world right now. And right, like I experienced postpartum depression as well. And, you know, so I get it. I totally get it. And I wish, go ahead.
I don't know about your experience, but if anyone else has had a period of time like my postpartum depression, there is a little bit of a moment. Your family and friends are wondering, is it going to happen again? And you too are. And yes, you have tools, you know, hopefully you've gotten the tools so you know, okay, if it does happen again, we're going to call this number, we're going to do this, and we're going to put all these interventions in. So you're looking for it, but you don't want to grab onto the wrong thing. So we had COVID, we had menopause. I have 2 children that I don't know about you, but anyone who is raising children right now, you master a phase, and why do they get into a new phase?
To keep you on your toes, girl. I hear you.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so funny. Like I have so much going on in my brain right now. Like, so thank you so much for answering that first question. You forgot to mention just periods and PMS leading up until the menopause and kids. You know what I'm saying?
Well, how about feeling like you're 16 again at the lead up to menopause? Because you're like, well, I'm not having my period now. I'm at this dinner event. I had it like, didn't I have it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you feel like you're a child. And you're like,
From square one. Yeah. Parenting feels like you are starting all over every phase, and same with your hormones as a woman.
oh God.
Over exercising is a huge piece too that you mentioned. Oh my God. You know, I try my best to teach people that they don't have to over exercise is a beautiful thing. But just like medication, one sleeping pill is okay to help you sleep. The whole bottle ain't good. You know what I'm saying? So just the right amount of a good thing is a good thing. So when you exercise, it's great. When you over exercise, it's not. Right.
You'll ask me later, and maybe I won't answer then because I'm putting it in now. One of the wins I believe I called out in my notes was where exercise fits in my life today. I was a college athlete, I was a college coach, I have a master's in exercise science, and I understand the value of calories in, calories out. But I also know the maddening effect of like, why isn't it working? And one of the earliest things I needed to do with you and your program was to trust this 30 minutes most days of the week. I even chatted you a few times, and I think you even called me out once, like, are you only exercising for 30 minutes? And you're like, I probably was throwing, like, I was like, well, she doesn't really count the warm up and the cool down and
Oh,
the
I do.
yoga. I know you do. But you play that game. And I would say one of the wins was I've gotten it down to 30 minutes most days of the week. In the beginning, it was every day because I couldn't get my head around that you kept saying most days. And I'll even like admit this week, which is, I think, my 12th or 13th week after meeting you, I can't get exercise in right now. I'm busy with work and life. And my anxiety is nowhere with that I won't get my workouts in. And I know I'll stay right on track.
And like, I'm so happy that you shared that. And I just wrote down that you did, because that is question number 2. So we're going to start talking about your wins, because we've already started talking about your wins. So that was one top win, and I'm going to extend on that. The reason why this is such a huge win for Bonnie and for my other clients that trust and listen. I used to compete in fitness shows and do crazy amounts of exercise. And after I was done, I told myself there has to be a better way. And so that's why I've been helping my clients at a different level, because you can go to school, you can take all the courses, you can pass all the tests, but the truth is the truth. And there's truth in the facts, there's proof in the pudding. And that's what I've done. I've used myself as a guinea pig over the years, and I'm like, a lot of this shit is BS. So that's why I only push 30 minutes. Find things you enjoy. If you don't like doing the Peloton, don't do the Peloton. If you don't like walking, don't walk. If you don't like doing weight training, don't wait, because you're only going to be consistent with your exercise piece if you enjoy it. But a bigger piece to this conversation is that because I'm 40 plus and most of my clients are 40 plus, most of them are moms. They're busy working moms. Anyone that's busy working and parenting knows that there's a hot minute left for you and yourself. And so to put that added shame and pressure on a busy working parent or mom to find over 30 minutes a few times a week just to exercise for weight loss is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so I just have to drop that right there.
It's a reality. I mean, I could speak for working moms.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's for a lot of other population.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we could probably have a whole nother podcast on staying up in the middle of the night,
Mhm.
waking up in the middle of the night, squeezing it in. I mean,
Oh.
doing some crazy meetings while you're working out. You can make yourself crazy.
Mhm.
And what I found, even when you called me out, and I think it was like week 5 or week 6, I did start getting hungry. And I think one of the positives of the program, you're going to ask that question. So I'm going to tell you my number one. I don't think I actually knew ever how to fuel my body correctly. And your system is super simple. It gave me a lot of options, but I didn't have to use any tools or resources outside of the house that I already had. That was a big win. And as much as I have knowledge in exercise science, I learned that I actually didn't know. Had like read a label. There was one weekend one of your coaches helped me in a chat because she was like, what does the label say, Bon? And so I took a picture and I was like, and she was like, this is what the label said. And I get it because you're looking, I'm a very successful, competent business person. And the label was so hard for me to comprehend on a veggie supplement, the green supplement. And she was right there. Take 5. That's what you have to do. That counts as 1. And if that was the biggest challenge I had, understanding the food portion of the program, that's like a win because the rest was super simple. Oh my God, I have a funny story. Do you want it?
Do it.
The first weekend, I was like, okay, it says we can have turkey, cold cut turkey. So we have cold cuts in the house. And so I was like, I could do this. But I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic. So I'm like reading through your thing and I'm like, 200 grams. So I get my wife over and I'm like weighing this turkey. I am wrong, just so everyone, if you're looking at this, that is a redonkulous amount of cold cuts. And there was no human possible way. I'm a pretty petite person. So I was like, don't worry. I reread the program and it was 100 grams of cold cut turkey. It was way more than a traditional amount that I would have had prior to the program. Hence why I was never hungry on your meal plan. I mean, I was maybe those 2 weeks I kind of cheated with exercise, but really never to where I was like, I'm depriving myself. And that was a huge win in my household and my community, because I had a lot of people saying, why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. So I had a lot of naysayers. And so it helped for me to go like, I'm not depriving myself. Actually, I think I'm eating way more than I've ever eaten in my life.
That's crazy. But I love this, and I need to point out for the listeners in case they missed the big message here. I mean, there's a million messages and we can go in a million different directions. But Bonnie was only hungry on my program when she didn't listen to the amount of exercise I gave her. Whenever you went over that 30 minutes, that's when the cortisol goes up and your hunger hormones go up, and then you want to eat more. And when you eat more, your body just can't keep up to those calories and it won't burn fat. Like you can eat clearly, like Bonnie said, but everything has to be in synergy, right? You have to be exercising the right amount. You have to be eating the right amount, not too little, not too much. And with the exercise, not too little and not too much. I mean, is it rocket science? Maybe.
Well, it's so interesting that you say rocket science, because then I had this whole emotion for a couple weeks in the middle, like, this is dumb, stupid, easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then thank goodness I had friends like, you're putting it down. It's not dumb, stupid, easy. It's actually perfect. It is spot on with a lot of flexibility. It's very fundamental. And it seems like the people who knew nutrition of my friends who I was like, can you believe this program's working? And they were like, we can, because you seem to have missed a whole layer of the basics of nutrition. And I was like, well, I got a big nutritional education from the program of how proteins work, what they do for my body. And I actually, by week 3, was saying things because people were like, you have to do this. That's the face they made. And it was like, oh no, I want to do this. And it only took about that 3rd week, I could hear myself like, oh, you can't drink that. And I was like, oh no. Actually, I actually don't want to drink that because I actually know what's going to happen. And the first 9 days, just so you know, those troubleshooting questions, I literally was like, where is Nicole going with this? About the 12, 13, 14, I realized what was happening. Like I was taking why things weren't working as not my fault, as to, I made that decision. And that's why that didn't work. Oh, that was just a bad decision. I can't keep making that decision. And then I don't know if you noticed, but at the end, I probably wasn't clicking off the troubleshooting stuff because I was like,
You memorized them?
yeah, click, down.
And for everyone watching, this is gold, because I shouldn't even say this, but you could follow any diet on earth as long as you have these troubleshooting questions, and you'll know why the scale is going up or down.
Yeah,
This
you say that.
self-awareness piece.
I don't know if I'm totally believing that at this point. And I will love to revisit it in a year or two, because I've heard people say this. I've heard you and Wayne on your live say this, but I maybe I have to believe. Maybe I need some bias that says like the box that my diet is in now is the box that works. And I just entered maintenance, and I don't have maintenance down. Like I am clearly the crazy. I'm like, I'm just going to stay in weight loss because I got it down. I know I have to move into maintenance, but I think the boxes that I have kind of clicked are probably pretty good right now for me.
So, and when we talk about the maintenance piece, I just want you and everyone to know maintenance is literally just an extension of your weight loss journey. So you could technically just follow your meal plan system that helped you lose weight and just, I call it the 20% flex. So when you're not 100% on plan, you go out with your wife or your kids or both, or go on a vacation that you just got back from, and use the 20% flex for that. I mean, that's the best case scenario.
That is how I think I'm approaching it. And then there's some wiggle at like the family dinners.
Yes.
And meal prep for when we're all together. And then it's pretty laser focused, right on plan. Like when I'm at work, and I'm traveling in a hotel, it's like the plan is the box.
Yeah, that's what's going to keep your weight off. And it's the 20, we can call it 20% wiggle if you want.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if I can wiggle 20%. It's so interesting because again, my body, I'm 5 foot, let's say 4 on a really tall day. And I'll just throw something else culturally out there to any of your clients is like, I'm already small. So why would you need a program? And I, for a very long time, felt like I can't talk about my weight publicly. I can't need help because I'm already small. But I just want to throw out to everybody, a small person who has like a 6-pound wiggle, that's 2 sizes. I mean, those are jeans that don't fit. Those are real like uncomfortable feelings when you're small. And I guess I can't speak for anyone who's larger, but I can say culturally, nobody who's bigger than you wants to hear that you're not, you're going to choose not to eat that.
Yes.
That
And
one's a
that's the
tough one.
thing. Oh my gosh. If there's about 8 billion people in the world, that's 8 billion opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day. So whatever 8 billion is times 70,000, I mean, you can't care about every single opinion that everyone has. You have to do you. And that's literally it, because you're the one that goes to sleep at night with yourself. You wake up in the morning in your mindset. You're the one with your brain going, like, all that matters is you and your body. So stop caring what other people think and say. And if you're uncomfortable, you have to do what's good for you. Right?
It's interesting because one of my wins with your program was that community, and you live in it. So I entered it and thought, how's this gonna go? Definitely virtual, but it's easier said than done to be you and not care what other people think. But it's way easier to be you when you could jump into a community kind of cheering. There were weekends on Fridays and Thursdays, you kind of prep everybody, and there was language to use that wasn't even my language, but gave me like, ooh, I'm going to say that line. Like, you'd write in the chat, like, how would you answer this question? And, one of your coaches would write, this is what I'd say. And you would, maybe change a word or two, but I would just literally be like, Dana would say this, Jennifer would say this, and I would find language that I grabbed from your community because I didn't have the language yet. So I didn't have the food yet. I didn't have maybe the language yet. And then the biggest win, my favorite thing, was your mindset stuff. So I'm guessing most people have not gotten what you have given. Maybe some people on Peloton who do like the meditation and stuff, but I actually have done some of the sports psychology that you've given. And I think I forgot a lot of it. And you didn't have to know what was happening, but you're like, what's your one focus, your intention, your mindset, your wins, like celebrating the small wins, your mental training. I don't know when I bought the package if I knew that was a product. I think I knew that I was going to get food. But I think the food was very important. But I do think the mindset shift, remembering the language, I started using it at my work. Nice. I mean, I started using it with my kids because I was like, what's your one focus today? Yeah. Like, it works.
Wow. This is amazing.
I know. That's why I'm kind of disappointed that culturally nobody wants to hear, like you say, you said it to me on a weekend, politics, religion, money, no one's allowed to talk about. And weight loss might be culturally confrontational as well. Yep. It's like, we got to dispel the myth because I was trying to say, there's been research that this is a medical problem. They might be able to link genetics to it. We know it's cultural. We know it's in households, but it's like, stop. We got to talk about it.
I know. And there's a lot more shame talk around people that want to take care of themselves now rather than the ones not. It's like it's being celebrated to be overweight, and we're being shamed for taking care of ourselves now. So there's kind of been a big shift that's not good.
There has been a big shift. I felt like the 90s, it was like cool again to exercise. I was praising, like, do you remember the first time you lifted and all these men were like, you lift weights? I mean, we're about the same age. So I'm in New York, I'm growing up, and it was like, you're lifting weights. But now our kids got to grow up in a generation where, yes, like this is good, but if it shifts back, we're in trouble. And then I felt like the language, I did not know this, was similar to when, if you have ever tried to choose not to drink alcohol. And I thought, this shouldn't be nearly as controversial as that. But it felt like on par with the alcohol conversation.
Yeah, I've noticed, and I'm doing a part 3 or part 4 TikTok right now over the next few days about alcohol. 8 reasons why you shouldn't drink it if you're trying to lose weight and increase your health and all that stuff. And I've, you know what, like I'm a little eccentric. I'm a little like whatever. My personality is a little odd sometimes, and I get that. And I'm okay with it. I not only like it, I like poking tigers. I actually get a kick out of it now. So I do it for the kicks, right? So by putting it out there about alcohol, I'm surprised not many people have like commented anything negative, because when you tell somebody that loves alcohol that they shouldn't be drinking alcohol, oh, the defensiveness. Like it's the only thing that keeps them going basically from day to day. Right.
I've not done that. I mean, I think you are a tiger hunter, but I have said to someone who shouldn't drink, I'm not drinking. Whoa. I mean, now I've asked many people, like, why do you think EFT, I always get your letters all mixed up, is successful? And I wonder still to this day if the year prior, so 2 years ago, I got the Peloton. So then the answer was fitness, right? So hardcore and all this crazy exercise that didn't work. So then it was like, oh, get rid of alcohol. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a crazy exerciser who doesn't drink. I'm glad I went on that journey because I did get some tools, because that was eye-opening for me socially, what it did to like date night, to parties, to weddings. And it was like, it was a long road. And I had that in my back pocket as I was like, no, I'm going to eat this tonight. That's interesting stuff. But I do think your mental training or your mindset training, whatever you're calling it, the affirmations, the goal setting, and then I knew this when I coached. I was a college coach, that you don't say no, like don't. No, you're probably doing this with your daughter. The minute you say don't, they do. There's no way to hear this. But all you do is say like, great win. And one day you posted, I don't know who did it, but you posted something to the effect of, my win for the weekend was I survived. Like I'm still alive. You know, like something very low bar, because the weekends are so tough. Maybe it was I didn't gain a pound. Like I maintained my weight. Some very like everyone kind of, but I think everyone in the group probably was like, celebrate, because you're celebrating even just small.
It's the only way to keep going. Like even when Wayne and I are having like a bad day when it comes to running the business, because I don't know if you know this, but being an entrepreneur is pretty hard. And we're going to be celebrating 13 years in July. So we have endurance both with our exercise and our business. And I do what you do, and I pivot the mindset stuff that we do in the weight loss program to business. It's like, okay, maybe this didn't go our way today, but what are 3 business wins today? Right? And it just reframes the brain. And it's the only way if you want to survive at anything. And I started doing this mindset stuff, not because I wanted a mindset portion for the program, but as a weight loss person helping people lose weight. And when we went online in 2018 and it got only online, because we used to do personal training in person, the reports had to focus on wins, because if I didn't, it would just be on bitching all day long, because weight loss is hard. No one wants to go on a weight loss program. And especially if you're PMSing or menopausal and you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with work, and life sucks, of course. You just are angry, right? So I was like, how am I going to turn this energy around? So that's when I started years ago. It's like, okay, tell me 3 wins. I don't care if you were walking down the street and you found 5 cents on the ground. Like, focus on the positives, because it's the only way to survive in life.
It was, well, we'll see in months to come. That's where I'm headed now, is like, what was the biggest takeaway? I know you're asked me to try to think, but like, I can only predict over the next 6 to 8 months, like, what am I going to use as my cornerstone from this program through my, next journey. So
maybe you could be one of my
great.
team group chat specialists.
I don't know. They're talented, and
they know the program. And they know like what I would say, but I also don't even tell them what to say. Like, people, I let them coach as they would like to coach, right? As long as the program is the foundation.
I wondered why you had them in the beginning, and then I realized my questions, you're very clear. I'm here to hear on these times and set some boundaries, even though I think you definitely went outside your boundaries a couple of times. I was like, oh, Nicole looks like she's working right now.
Yeah.
But the weird moments happen, and the other coaches were helpful. So thank them. They are there, like, I don't know, in the dark moments when you're in the bathroom and you're having a moment and you're like, let me grab my phone. So it's good.
Yeah. Well, that makes me super happy. You've answered quite a bit of this, but I'm just wondering what pops on the top of your mind when I ask you, what is your favorite thing about my program?
Well, that's not fair. I lost the weight. I mean, I cannot believe I did it. So maybe I can spin it as, you helped remind me that my goal wasn't wrong. I was approaching my goal the wrong way. So I believe in goal setting. I'm pretty successful again, but this one was like getting me where I was like, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I am. Like, maybe I'm not disciplined, or maybe this isn't for me, right? Maybe this body, I think I told you, somebody said, do you love your new body? And I was like, yeah, but truly, it wasn't my new body. It was the body I knew I had and I couldn't find. And so it's a different feeling when you're like, oh, I reached a goal. And I think the lesson in it was, I was just approaching my goal the wrong way. And so he gave me a lot of positive, like, Bon, you could do anything you put your mind to, with a good plan. So I do think you gave me a plan that I can run with. So my favorite part, but it's, why do you say that? Like, remembering how important it is to be positive, was a big one. And
yeah, I mean, Bonnie was so hesitant about joining my program. that I created a special chat inside Facebook Messenger for a couple of my clients to answer her questions. I've
Well,
never done that before, and I think it's a great idea.
It was so real, Nicole. Like, I need you and Wayne over the next year to like blitz Google and the media, because I did as thorough of a background check on you and Wayne as I could. And I got, your young professional life with the tools that maybe I would use, that kind of are more traditional tools, like you were published in a few magazines. That helped because you had been interviewed and published in a few professional magazines. But all I could think of was, well, I was desperate. And so I think we can end on this, but the Monday after that Thanksgiving, I was putting my credit card into a pill that I was going to buy. And it was maybe like that fun number, like $129.99, like just enough where you should think about it, but not enough where you're like, this isn't going to show up on anybody's radar. I'm just going to and get a pill. And I was putting in the credit card and I thought, how much more money are you going to throw at this bond? This is clearly a scam. I know it's a scam. And I was ready. And then I thought, you know what? If I'm going to throw my money at a scam, I've been watching this girl, Nicole, for a year on social media. And maybe I just go big or go home. And maybe this is what I need. And so I like pivoted, opened up a new tab, wrote you, and I was like, I think I need a consultation, even though I'm pretty sure you're out of my budget. And you're like, let's do it. Let's schedule it. And I'll tell you, you did something really unique. You asked these interesting leading questions to get a consultation. And I tell business leaders in my community now, that was brilliant to weed out if I was ready or not. And I work with a lot of outside sales associates, and I said, like, any hoops will help you get to the real client, and also really make me face kind of the facts of what am I about to invest in. But yeah, no, when I sent that money in, and you're in Canada, I'm in the USA. You're officially the first Canadian I've ever met.
Well, I feel so flattered.
You did so good. Now I'm like Googling, like, who in Canada can fix this?
Oh my God, look at us, go Canada. Well, I love that. And, you're right, because, I only want to work with women, number one, 40 plus, number two, and somebody that's going to trust the way I do things. Because it's like a marriage. Like, I have to trust that you're going to follow through, and you have to trust that I'm going to follow through, because we're in each other's lives for at least 12 weeks. A lot of my clients are with me for a year or two, right? So it's a trust factor. Plus, I've dealt with enough individuals that I screen immensely, because I don't want to work with nasty people. You know what I'm saying? I only want to work with people I think we're going to get along, right? And I know right off the bat from a conversation, I can read through the emojis and the text if someone is ready or not. And so, like, I know when to leave the conversation, or I know what question to ask. And that is a skill. And that's just because I know my client. I know, like, if they say, oh, I'm a 7 out of 10 serious, I'm like, oh, come back in a year. Like, you're so far off from being ready. But if somebody says 9, it's usually I need to create a little bit of trust. 10 out of 10, some people say that, but they're not. So you're right. Like, there has to be a specific questions to get to somebody like you. You were perfect. You were absolutely perfect. And because you were perfect, you are a success. right?
Well, these are all very kind things to say, because, so thank you. And I'll kind of take it on. But a year ago when I like got on, someone posted about you, I think, in a Peloton group. That is the only way I can think of how I would have found you. Because that's the only groups I would have like followed. And a year ago, I would love to have wished I tried to do a consultation to see where my answers were, but my gut check right now was I was not ready, or I didn't have the skills. I was hearing some noise like, Bonnie, you can't run from a bad diet. Bon, you know what you're doing. You're just not looking. And it was everyone else's fault. And there was even moments in the last 12 weeks where I wanted to blame I'm like, not that perfect. I wanted to blame everyone else, right? This weekend went bad because my wife said this, or because of this person at that party said that, or because the waiter forced the drink on me. And it was like, I kept going back to your lives and like some of your lives that are recorded. And I was like, no, I made the decision to drink that. I mean, yes, waiter gave me a drink for free, but then he didn't drink it for me. And there, I needed those hard truths that I don't know if I was ready for a year ago. So, but the program worked for me. I think it could work for anyone. Your approach we do the consultation and then we kind of give you a little like more, and then like, are you going to make the decision? That speed has been critiqued in my house every single day. That was way too fast, Bonnie. I wasn't ready for it. But I default that the speed at which to pull that trigger was probably instrumental in the success. Like, don't think about it too long. It's like a polar plunge. Are you going to do it? Are you not going to do it? And Wayne said it. If you're, what is it? If you've had enough has to be enough before you're really ready. Like, you gotta, enough is enough.
That is the unfortunate part, is that you have to be in a really dark place so that the 50 to 70,000 thoughts in your brain, when you've had enough, right? Like, they're like, Bonnie this, Bonnie that, or whoever's watching, you know what I mean? Like, all those thoughts keep going in your head. And if you take too long to think about it, you can miss a chance to actually change your life, right? So I'll ask one more question. Well, maybe. I mean, this is the final question. What would you say to someone who's watching this video right now, who is thinking about making a health and fitness lifestyle change, but is still hesitant?
You're nuts. I was nuts for not doing it. Just do the consultation, buy the program, no regrets. Best thing I've done in a decade, other than have my children. The benefits, like, again, I don't know if I said it, but I'm on no Lexapro, no anxiety meds. I sleep really good. I still get some, sleep aid every so often. Again, I have a pretty stressful job in a crazy economy, and my weight is off clothes. I mean, I hit at one point my wedding weight. Is everyone like kind of wish they got to their day of their wedding weight? I know it's a really exciting weight, and it brings back a lot of nostalgia, even in your relationship. And do it. Just do it if you have the means. We saved money on alcohol, food, stress, restaurants. You will make it back in your budget threefold, in my opinion.
And that's a really good point, because most people spend a lot of money on alcohol, which is super expensive, and restaurants are ridiculous right now. So really, it's not extra money being spent, which is crazy, right? When you flip that mindset. Is there anything else on your sheet that you didn't share with the audience that you want to share, or do you feel like
Oh,
you've covered everything?
I've covered a lot. Let me look. I just have a lot of gratitude for your program. And if you're a person out there who like believes in gratitude or you're forgetting about it, there's two things like gratitude or what's that called? It's called scarcity mindset.
Mm.
If maybe you're working on that in another part of your life, if you join your program, that got reinvigorated for me too. Like again, you would think weight loss, it has the word loss in it, that I'd have scared. I can't, no reduction. I actually felt again that you helped feel abundant. I ate all the food in my house. It was amazing how much I already had in my house that fit in the program. So I had just know that maybe you might be working on other goals and weight loss. And this program can help in that way too. So you might be able to leverage those other things like my career. I manage people, that you can learn some things and say, hey, I know it's a lot, but I can use these skills in other areas too.
Well, that makes me super happy. Like
Yeah.
I have another client, she's in insurance, and she said for her team, like they go around and share in a meeting, like what are your top 3 wins this week for work, right? So it's like, instead of always feeling like a failure at work and relationships and parenting and whatever, it's like, how about you focus on the things you did well, right? Like, what are some wins? You were going to say something?
Well, we're so conditioned to not even hear the negative anymore that I did find in a weird way, like I started hearing it more. Like there could be people sitting out there, managers who don't even hear the negative anymore because that's all they hear. But then there's an emotion response when you hear something good. And then you're craving that. I do have an addictive mindset, I already said, with exercise. So, but why not be addicted to something positive?
Mhm.
So, just helping shift. But I have a lot of appreciation for you and your program, the investment you've made in like being the rocket scientist, because like we all can't learn to the knowledge you have, just like you couldn't come into my industry and know, but the ability to kind of collaborate there was just so helpful.
Well, I appreciate you. And I'm very much into gratitude as well. And it's now my daughter does it too. So she's 6 years old, and she, like, I know her teacher's teaching her to meditate at school, but she'll like, can you meditate with me? And I'm like, oh yeah, girl, let's do it. So gratitude, and you might feel a little weird at first, but that's okay, because the benefits are totally worth it. Right. And it's not weird. Trust me. I see and feel negative energy from a mile away because I focus on positive. Right. So the more you focus on positive, the more you'll see the negative, and you won't want to be around it.
Right.
Right.
Nicole, I can spend all day with you. So I'll end kind of, because I know we should stay on time, even though I don't want to, is that I think that was really cool about your community. I think we all wanted to spend time with each other. I would be shocked to say there was someone in that app that wanted to get out. If anything, I think I mentioned to you, I turned off most of any social media, any scrolling, and just wanted to be in your app. So, like, you have that mentality, you brought that team together, and like, again, if people watching the Zoom, they don't want it to end, but it's got to end at some point, I'm guessing, because we have other work.
So I'm going to stop the recording, but don't leave.
No,
Okay.
you got it.
So for everyone that made it through to the end, thank you so much. And I hope you had as much fun as Bonnie and I did. comment below anything that you felt was fun or a takeaway. Any questions you have, you can message me. Other than that, thank you, Bonnie, so much for sharing your journey. I know this is out of your norm, social media and stuff like that. So I appreciate you. So we're going to end this here, but we're going to chat after.
Great. Thank you.